Hey guys, today I'll be sharing with you the most important tips that will not only save you countless of hours in this leveling grind, but will also show you how to get guaranteed tier 4 and tier 5 loot. To top it off, I will also be showing you how to get max A tier rewards with just a B rank, so make sure to watch till the end. Starting off, did you know that once you complete the 7-step training, your modifiers will now be saved between runs, and you will no longer need to reselect them every time you want to launch the same activity. This is a huge time saver this season, since you will be spamming the same activities over and over again. Once you reach level 350 and unlock the +1 tier upgrade in Kepler, you'll be able to go around killing major enemies and obtaining a ton of tier 4 armor. This specific area is one of the best solo tier 4 armor farms. I just farmed it for a couple of minutes and ended up with over 10 tier 4 pieces. To get here, all you have to do is drop down from the spawn in Caldera, take the tunnel, and then go all straight till you get to this area where the Vex and Fallen are fighting. They respawn infinitely, so just slap on your favorite build and go crazy. Also, don't forget that you can attune which armor or weapon you're more likely to obtain in Caldera. In this next tip, I'm going to show you how to get max A rank rewards with just a high B score. That's right, you don't need an A or even a B+, which means that you'll be facing extremely easy enemies and still getting the highest power level reward. The way this works is that the rank that you see on your screen is just a prediction. And this prediction doesn't actually take into account the 15% bonus that you get from finishing an activity on time. So you should always add 15% on top of your score in order to get your real actual score. For example, in this case, I have added a bunch of modifiers to get a high B score. After that, I simply add 15% on top of that to know my final actual score. Lastly, we need to find out what's the threshold to reach A rank. To do that, you click on your rank and then select A rank. As you can see, the threshold is 515,000 and our final calculated score is 532,000. This means that our high B is more than enough to reach A rank rewards. Now this doesn't matter as much early on, but once you start getting into the 200s and 300s, this tip alone will save you hours. For some reason, in some runs that I've had, this stopped working at around 340. So just to be safe, I would recommend aiming for a B+ once you reach 340. Moving on, your Guardian rank actually affects the quality of the mid-activity rewards that you get. Those are the rewards that drop either from challenging enemies or from the chests that you encounter during longer missions such as Starcrossed. How much does it actually affect? We don't know, but it's probably worth increasing your Guardian rank just to be safe. The best way to reach level 200 is to first complete the campaign, and after that you do all 13 side missions scattered around Kepler. These give you +10 power level, so make sure you do them before level 200. Next up, you ideally farm exotic missions because they give you a ton of rewards before level 200. However, once you reach level 200, only the final chest will give you upgrades. From 200 to 300, your grind will mainly be solo ops and exotic missions. If you can complete Starcrossed in under 7 minutes, then you should stick to it. Otherwise, just spam Caldera or K1 logistics. At 300, the grind becomes much tougher because now you only get +3 power level rewards instead of +4. Champions also appear in most activities. For this level bracket, you will do the same thing, which is solo ops and exotic missions. Finally, for the 400 to 450 grind, you're going to rely on RNG because the only way to level up is a random prime engram that sometimes drops from activities. You should also be looking at the weekly Zavala items that you can purchase from him. Since we are on the topic of Zavala, make sure that you purchase the 3 weekly items that he sells. These act like powerful engrams and you can unlock them by leveling up your weekly rank in the seasonal hub. So if it's telling you that you cannot purchase them, it's probably because you aren't high enough level in the weekly pass. If you've wondered why the score looks different for some people, that's because your score rank changes every 100 levels. This opens up new grades that you can obtain while doing the activities. For example, a lot of people tell you to aim for a B+ when leveling, but you don't actually even unlock the B+ rank until you reach level 300. Also, every 20 levels, the threshold of each grade increases, meaning that it will be harder to reach a rank at the beginning of those 20 levels. For example, in here I was 319 and I could easily reach a high B rank with 2 modifiers, and my A rank threshold was only 369,000. However, as soon as I leveled up to 320, now it has become a lot tougher to reach the same rank because the A rank threshold has moved up all the way up to 440,000. So I'm going to need a lot more modifiers. The closer you get to the next threshold, which is 340 in my case, the easier it will become. But as soon as you reach 340, the threshold will increase again. So if you've ever felt like the game has suddenly become harder, then this is most likely why. However, that's not the only reason why you might be struggling. It turns out that the power level from your equipped gear also increases your reward multiplier. This means that you should always be infusing your gear if you want to have an easier time reaching the highest scores. For example, in here I was level 305 and my score multiplier was 6.04. As soon as I infused my gear to level 311, my multiplier went all the way up to 6.18. So if you're that guardian that never infuses their stuff, then you might want to start doing it this season. Another tip about gear is that you should be using new gear from this expansion. This new gear will not only increase your reward multiplier even further, but it will also provide you with damage resistance and a weapon damage increase. So unfortunately, new gear is just straight up better than anything you had before. You can even use new gear as your transmog and this will count towards the damage resistance, but it might get patched soon. Another big leveling tip is to use the old season pass to grab any piece of armor that might be slacking behind. You can check those armor pieces in DIM or any other website of your choice such as Destiny Power Bars. For example, in my case, my leg armor piece was 6 power levels behind and this was holding me back quite a lot. So all I did was check out the previous season rewards using the web browser extension and grabbed an all armor piece from the previous seasons. You can also do this with the current season pass. All rewards will come at your power level when you pick them up. I will leave a full guide on how to download and use the extension below. And since we are on the topic of gear, you can expect tier 2 armor to drop once you reach level 200 with the occasional tier 3 drop. This armor will drop with around 60 total stats. Tier 3 armor will become the default once you reach level 300 with the occasional tier 4 drops here and there. You can expect around 68 total stats on tier 3 armor. For guaranteed tier 4 armor, you need to either hit level 350 and buy the Kepler upgrade, or simply farm till level 400 and do Grandmasters. Tier 400 armor comes with 70 to 75 total stat points, and honestly it's more than enough. Now, when it comes to guaranteed tier 5 armor, then you can obtain it by first reaching level 350, that way you go to Caldera and claim your +1 tier upgrade. Once you've done this, all you have to do is run the weekly missions on Mythic difficulty. Each mission will provide you with 1 tier 5 drop for a total of 2 tier 5 drops per week. Also remember that you can attune which item you're more likely to get in Caldera. Another source of guaranteed tier 4 and tier 5 armor is the Conquest mode, which is basically our old Grandmasters. These will reward you with really good gear at the end. However, they can only be completed once per season. So ideally, save these for when you reach level 300 or even 400 if you plan on maxing out your level this season. If not, then complete them whenever you feel like it. Moving on, let's talk about the actual score and modifiers. Throughout the entire leveling journey, you always want to start with the bottom modifiers. This is because these don't increase the power level of the enemies that you'll be facing. So equipment locked is basically your best friend. Once these bottom ones are not enough, then you want to start adding the ones at the top. These do increase the enemy's power level, so they will make the activity tougher. Always add the ones that don't directly impact damage done and received. Also, for those unaware, there's a small triangle on top of your score bar that indicates the minimum score that you need in order to reach your predicted grade. The more modifiers you add, the easier it becomes to reach the threshold triangle, meaning that you can skip the side missions if you make the activity hard enough. On the other hand, if you make the activity really simple and easy, then you will find the threshold has moved all the way to the end, which means you have to complete everything if you want max rewards. Now, when it comes to rewards, I'm sure you noticed the bonus rewards that pop up when you're about to select an activity. These seem like a big deal, but in reality, they only drop at +1 power level. So in most cases, they won't even help you out since your other activities give you +3s and +4s. I personally wouldn't do these unless you have at least 3 or 4 stacked up waiting for you, or if you really want to switch it up and do something different for a change. If you're trying to level up the fastest, then always stick with the lowest difficulty until you cannot obtain a high B or B plus rank anymore. That's when you want to move up to the next difficulty. For example, you should be able to do expert difficulty all the way up to level 300. Moving on, we know that the game is pretty bad at displaying what rank you get at the end of an activity. So if you want to double check whether you obtained A tier max rewards, you can do it by opening the scores menu at the end of an activity and then clicking on the second page to see your total final score. You can then compare that final score to the A tier threshold that you see when setting up the activity. You can also check if the item that dropped is a +4 or +3 if you're over level 300. My final tip is that at the end of the day, you don't really need to reach level 450 to enjoy Destiny. I'm personally staying at 350 because I value my time too much to be wasting it on a lazy leveling design. At 350, you basically get everything that you need. Frequent tier 4s and even guaranteed tier 5s every week. And that's it for all the tips. I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.